You know, Lois, I'm really sad to leave behind our wonderful home, but the guest house is taking over Rhode Island. Quahog is gone, and we can never come back. Lois, we're moving to Georgia. And Brian's first ever successful book tour, things are still looking good for our Griffins. God damn it, is there anything interesting on television? You know, I've traveled all throughout the guest house, and there's barely any sources of entertainment. I've watched every single movie there already. Well, I can just always watch the news, I guess.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we just had some breaking news to tell. It seems that Guest House is canceled. I need a moment to think about this. That was, yeah, I'm fine.
Oh god damn! Hello, this is Polar, formerly known as the Attractor. This video is completely unscripted, and I would like to thank you so much for watching the short little intro sequence that I made. The drawing was very bad, I know, but I'm not an artist, even though I go to a school with art in it. I would like to say, first things off, to anyone that joined any season of Guest House, even when it was Attractor Trust Me With Your Lives, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It means so much that you have played my stupid little online reality game. It means a lot. So I would like to talk to you all about the history of Guest House. So, Guest House as a thing started when I played Suomi's Trust Me With Your Life, specifically the third season. The third season of Suomi's Trust Me With Your Life was an incredibly fun experience that I absolutely adored. I had it was so fun, and I also got the worst luck possible of being, I would say, target of a little A-L-I-T-L. I don't know how to pronounce their name, I'm sorry. I will say a little. But I was a target of a little, and I lost my first 2 lives in the first 2 rounds, and then spent I'd say 30 rounds in the red. And it was surprisingly cinematic. I was not the best player, but I was definitely a very loud player. And that also made me want to make my own. At that time, I think I was making a TWOW, a 10 Words of Wisdom called TWOW to the Depths. TWOW to the Depths was a thing. It was a TWOW. It was meant to focus a lot on lore. It had fun writing that I am still proud of, but kind of things that I had a lot of encryption, had a lot of base 64 and a lot of that, which people don't necessarily know. Alongside that, the player count was extremely low, and many people just kind of stopped doing things. That resulted in me losing motivation. Alongside that, I ended up just finding TWOWs really unfun, even though I went pretty far with a lot of them. So, afterwards, I wanted after that, I believe I was playing So Trust Me Your Life Season 3, and then Season 4 came, and I played that too. I had pretty fun with Season 4. It was incredibly chaotic, a lot happened, and it unfortunately ended up with 2 people that I didn't know becoming the top 2, which, I mean, that's nobody's fault, but like, and it was hard for me to vote. But when I was eliminated from Season 4, I ended up making Attractor Trust Me For Your Life Season 1. So, Season 1 of Attractor Trust Me For Your Life was basically just my version of Season 3 of So Trust Me For Your Life, and that's also why it's called Trust Me For Your Lives, because every single season has multiple lives, and I was very adamant about it, about the acronym being ATM WYLS, because lives. But yeah, it's now called Guest House, and so people just acronymize it as GH, which I'm completely fine with. Season 1, I think, might have been my Season 1 of Attractor Trust Me Your Life might actually have been the best season, which is surprising, given the fact that there were 4 other seasons after that, and this was my first one. But it was so fun, and it had so many little arcs, and people were interacting in a really entertaining way, that it was clear that everyone was having fun, and I was having fun, and it was just such a cool endeavor. I did a lot of palette swaps for people's logos, using basically just a hue change filter, and that also resulted in the Danganronpa blood little running gag that lasted for 2 seasons, I think. I don't even think season 2.1 had it. So here we are with season 1. I believe acetyl nitrate ended up winning. It was not even close. There was a basically the ending rounds, there was basically just a whole gambit between 2 players to go into winning, and that led to season 1 almost being predicted sending, but then things fell apart, and now it was 1 player and acetyl nitrate, and acetyl nitrate won. It was an incredibly cinematic ending. I also had the bounty system to try and motivate everyone to be red, and it worked pretty well, even if it was a little bit complicated on my side, and I do think it was definitely a clunky mechanic. And that's also definitely a problem that was in the future seasons, which I think actually the season 2, despite disaster limited life was, it managed to, have everyone degrade in lives pretty equally, and allowed everyone to have a solid amount of time playing. That's one of the main reasons why I love the live format, is that everyone gets a chance to be in the game for a while, to mess around, be able to speak, to have their roles instead of just, it's round 1, you get immediately eliminated, and you might have to wait for maybe a rejoin. I guess we're talking about Season 2 now. Season 2, Limited Life, was an absolute disaster. It had, to start things off, it was an absolute mess for me to calculate, and I'm not sure if I calculated right. Because as it stands, Purple was the winner of the season, and I think Purple was very deserved, but I'm also I'm wondering if I calculated it right, maybe there would have been a different top 2, because I'm very sure that I might have counted things wrong. Someone might have gained more lives, someone might have lost more lives, because the thing is, everyone had 75 days. If you get the most votes, the 2 people with the most votes lose 10 days, and then the person with the firmest votes gains 5 days to make sure that there's still a little bit of gaining. But then also everyone that got a vote that wasn't like the in the top 3. They lost how many votes they had with a maximum of 5. It was very complicated, and I didn't even explain it that well. And imagine with how complicated that sounds, imagine how complicated it was for me. And also every single round, everyone's days went down by 1 automatically, since, you know, it's limited life, it's based on time. Alongside that, there was just a lot of drama, and people ended up leaving, specifically Florida Woman Evolved, Winter, I believe she's called now, we left due to a family situation, and that unfortunately led to Season 2 having a lot of like early game people leaving, and also I think Epislinky continued the curse of like leaving very quickly, and that's a shame, especially considering Epislinky is one of my friends. It's not great to see my friend always lose in my online reality games. But the biggest problem with Season 2 was just there was a lot of technical issues. Beyond just the lives being bad, like that's not the type of technical issues I'm talking about. I'm talking about my computer. So mid-2024 was the age of every single one of my electronics absolutely failing on me. My computer stopped working, then my phone literally exploded, and my computer also exploded. And it took a while for me to get a new phone, or not get a new phone, I had to repair my phone, and also to get a new computer, because the computer ended up becoming completely unusable, and also everything in my hard drive was gone. So that sucks. That resulted in some rounds being hosted by the Pope. Thank you, the Pope. I am very happy about it. Overall, I would say that like Season 2, I hated it initially, but I do think it definitely had some of the like good parts from Season 1 still. I think like it had a lot of drama and like a lot of good drama that like people were still having fun with, but like it's still like that's always my goal with my online reality games, is to have this perfect mixture of like everyone's having fun and shit posting, but there also is like people strategize and like try and completely just like mess each other up. Like Season 3 of So Many Stars Made of Life was based off the Life series, and I think every single season was based off the Life series afterwards. I mean, Season 2.1 was not based on like any. It was just a joke season. I guess speaking of 2.1, we can talk about Season 2.1. Season 2.1 was a funny season. After my tech finally began working, and like I no longer use a like crappy Linux for a short period of time, I just kind of went like sort of buck wild. Season 2.1, like the gimmick was like everyone had like an insane amount of lives, or an insane amount of days, right? It was a parody of the previous season because I had so much disdain for it. So everyone essentially had one life, but they were all like, it's just like, oh, everyone has like 99999 days, but like it doesn't matter because like you lose an infinite amount of days if you get the most votes. So it doesn't really matter. And each round was just complete chaos until, like... Okay, I will say this. The biggest regret I have with Season 2.1 is just that I used AI. It was a parody of AI, yes, with, like, AI art. But I still don't like using AI with, like, some very, very, very rare exceptions. And I think, like... I think it would have been better if I just like included free like wheels that just randomly decide, instead of having like 3 different ChatGPT conversations, just like, oh, this is New Yorker ChatGPT, this is constantly trying to sell you the mixtape, like, you know, like the mixtape scammers. ChatGPT. but I'll talk about the ending in particular, because the ending of Season 2.1 was, I was obsessed with 2 videos from Smosh, where they played a Maury Povich board game, where they just said a bunch of quotes, and it was just complete insanity, and I found it so funny. They had so much fun. I have loved Smosh for several years now. Like, their modern content is really good. If you like, for example, Dropout.tv, I'm pretty sure you'll like Smosh. So, the entire thing was just like, I think it was either Giant Killer and Painterly, I believe is their name. I mean, I know it's Painterly Productions, but I think Painterly is like their little name, and I'm not gonna check because you'll hear my mouse clicking noises. And I don't want you to hear my mouse clicking noises. But yeah, it ended up being like a Maury Povich parody, and I just like had like, oh yes, when it's just like, RNG. I just was like literally RNG on who the mother and father is, and like the game was like, oh, both of them win, because like, oh, it's just like trying to figure out who's the father, or well, I guess girl dad for Painterly now, because Painterly is trans. Hell yeah, the ally. I'm gay, so like I don't want to be a gay conservative. Ew. But that was Season 2.1. Afterwards, there was a pretty big gap. That was the first big gap I had with this series, and I ended up becoming pretty rusty. My hosting capabilities became a lot worse, I'd say, with Season 3 and Season 4, or aka Guest House Season 1 and Guest House Season 2. So I took a giant break. I began working on several projects. I worked on a lot of like stuff involving the caretaker community. But eventually I got around to working on Guest House Season 1. Now, one thing about Guest House Season 1 and Guest House Season 2 that I adore was, first things off, the theming. I adore the theming of they're all battling for a house the size of Rhode Island. Because, like, and also due to that, I realized, like, oh shit, Family Guy takes place in Rhode Island. I could make, like, the lore, I could make it canon in lore that Family Guy was cancelled, and that's also why the opening skit had, like, that Family Guy parody with my awful Peter Griffin impression. Sounded more like Morgan Freeman, like, than Peter Griffin, but, you know. So, Season 3, it was a complete mess. It had, it was based on Last Life to a almost detriment, honestly. Some players were, absolutely, there was a whole strategy with, the first round was, people were literally, like, unionizing against me. And that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like, it felt like something out of a Doug stream. Like, I was Doug, and, like, every player was Twitch chat, and they were, like, slowly but surely trying to give every single life to 8. And, 8 the player, not trying to give everyone 8 lives, because that's how things work, but there was the life gifting mechanic. Also, I forgot to explain what, Season 3's mechanic even was. So, Guest House Season 3's mechanic was, hold on, I have to change my position, sorry about the bad noises from my chair there. So, Season 3 gimmicks was straight up like Last Life from the Life series. Everyone had, like, a random, like, had, like, 2 to 6 lives, and it was only, like, revealed in the next round. Or well, they knew themselves, but like the other players, like, they have to tell how many lives they had. And then there was the foreclosure mechanic and life gifting. So the foreclosure is basically just the boogeyman or the assassin. They can just like insta kill someone, but if they get like a good amount of votes, their kill is cancelled and they lose a claim. Also, I'm gonna say claims and lives interchangeably now. Yeah, And also, if the foreclosure got the most amount of votes, they immediately go to one claim, which is brutal. Very, very brutal. So season 3 was like because that people like abused the life gifting mechanic, so like only a few people got an insane amount of lives. But then I think the Brian like got like a lot of votes, and then like got like a lot of votes, but they were also the foreclosure, and they also got gifted a lot of lives too, and that like turned into the Brian getting 1 life, and that unfortunately resulted in the Brian unfortunately quitting, which I feel very bad about. So yeah, that's something that I kind of wish I regret, because that's also something that I ended up forgetting the exact terminology of what the foreclosure does, and that led to a pretty bad situation. But overall, the rest of the season was pretty bad. The main problem I had was just like everyone started to lose claims really, really quickly, and it ended up being a very short season, and that also was shared with the next season. And alongside that, season 3 and season 4, they were sort of like linked together with the fact that the the elimination order was like the thing is like everyone was just like, okay, everyone's going to just vote out someone as quickly as they can, and then like everyone will have like a good amount of then it will just be like a low amount of players with an insane amount of claims, and that's not a gameplay style I like, because it kind of removes the quality that I really enjoyed with the first 2 seasons, where everyone got a chance to play, but like unfortunately, like with how the players played, it led to like just like people just trying to get people out as quickly as possible, instead of like having everyone slowly go into a low amount of claims and then having it be a death match, which is what I really enjoyed. So that was season 3. I don't even remember who won. Well, it was 8. It was the most underserved season win, I think, and it was 8. I think 8 won. And like even 8, it's like this was their first online reality game win, and it was just like, no, this was not deserved, because I think like their thing was like, oh yeah, like I'll give you a cat. Like, here's this image of a cat. Here's why I should win. And like that was all it was needed, and then like everyone just voted. So season 3, yeah, the winner was 8. I had to just check things. Now season 4, this was the final season, and I'm also sorry that I'm kind of like saying things a bit weirdly. Like, this was meant to be a retrospective, but it's like far from perfect. Whatever. I hope that you all still enjoyed me ranting and raving. So season 4 was duos, and it was a season that I feel like I kind of like, I hosted pretty well, but season 4, people were just incredibly inactive, and just a lot of people like started leaving, and like people like there were people that ended up just becoming like lonesome, like they had no duo members, and yes, people kept leaving, and like some people were like completely inactive, like a player that was just like completely, and there was a player that just like joined and then did nothing, or just left. Dipple, Midle, Phospha, whatever, like left in the middle of the game, and then just left their party member Yabba Dabba Doo on the Rosem. And there was also like not a great amount of players. Like there was a decent amount of players. I think there was like 20 players. I think there were 20 players exactly, which was fine. But like season 2 was the peak of the player count. So yeah. Season 4, I don't really have a lot to say about. It was disheartening. And I think it might have also been like a sort of cause that caused me to lose my steam, and would have, like, I would say, like, I think Guest House would have probably been over soon regardless, but this probably just like gave me a lot of low motivation. So as it stands, I forgot to talk about this actually. So one thing that I really liked about the 2 seasons of Guest House before it ended, I guess, is that it included a bunch of friends that I had. That they were really welcome. They were in the caretaker community. Sekar, formerly known as, or Sekar, known probably by your friends as Bisodify. Um, well, they were also the voice of the news anchor, which who screamed, screamed in the background. I did not command them to. I did not command her to say that, and I find that really funny. Uh, I did not command. I did not command Sakar. So yeah, like Eric, Darby, Sakar, Dealer, who became a flat-out host. They were really like good friends, and I'm very happy about like their playstyle, and like they had a lot of fun, and like definitely brought a lot of like excited energy. And I'm very happy about it. And that's something that I'm at least very happy about with the season of Guest House before, well, things ended. So, what are we going? So, what were the last 2 seasons about? So, the joke season that I was going to have, season, I believe, uh, season square root of 2 squared, which just equals 2, was a Truman Show. It was going to be a Truman Show for my friend Sekar, who I already talked about. It was going to be called like the Beast or Fi show, and it was basically just a fake season where like every single player was in the know that they were like just specifically trying to trick. It was just going to be an insane season for Sekar in particular, and and also it's going to be treated as a joke season, so it was probably going to be like leads to somebody saying like, oh yeah, this is insanity, like obviously, but like I was going to give like hints that something weird is happening, and like people are in the know-how. I was just going to try and just completely gaslight my friend. But the grand finale season, I think, was going to probably be like a best of. Might have just had like the best players that I liked, and will probably invited them. Probably a lot of my friends. Unfortunately, I'm a biased person. What can I do? But I'm also gonna probably invite like some people that's just like, yeah. It's an all-star season with like season 1's rules, but just like all-star. Like sort of like what they did with Game of Life and Trust. And that was basically the plans. I didn't have much planned for the final season, other than just like back to basics. And that's basically about it. Again, I'm sorry that this is a bit of a mess. I'm not the best with words, and specifically like improv and like just stating things in particular, and also like I would have probably been better if there was someone to talk with. But thank you so much for listening to this, and thank you, I would like to say again, from the bottom of my heart, to anyone who's played Guest House, or even like supported it in general, from the bottom of my heart, thank you deeply. You have been so kind to me, and like so motivating, and I'm not like leaving, I'm not, like, this, I mean, this is probably sad for a lot of people, but like, however, this is not like the end of me. I'm not going to die after this, and like this is Discord where you can just talk to me for anything. I'm going to be like open if you like want to talk about something. So overall, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just like to say thank you. Uh that's about it actually. Uh thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, thank you. And I love you all. Goodbye.